Do the finishing work on these Game Changer flies, the black color. So we have all of our Game Changers trimmed up. You can see them all hanging up here, right there. Hopefully that backlight isn't too distracting. Sorry about that. So basically we got all of our Game Changers shaped into that teardrop minnow bait pattern look, and now we're going to be putting on our eyes and coating the front of this fly with the resin to help with pushing of the water. So we have 6 of them here. We went ahead and we finished our trim work, so you guys don't have to watch us go through another 3 flies of trimming. And we're gonna add our eyes and resin. So let me get the eyes out here. And I think I might switch it up. I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna go all like a smoked gray, red, or blue. These are the sizes that I'm going to use for these eyes. I like to use liquid fusion to add my eyes. It does take a little bit longer for the dry time. It's not as fast as a UV resin or epoxy. And I'm just going to go back through my system as they dry, and I will finish. Normally I wait until the eyes are dried as I put them on, and then coat the front of the head with my resin. But for the video purpose, I'm gonna just go ahead. I'm gonna go through each fly. I could increase the drying time, or decrease the drying time rather, by using a hair dryer on them, which I might do. It just that way I can add my epoxies and my resins. So I'm gonna get my glue ready here. I'm gonna pop off an eye. Start with my blue tinted black. See what that looks like. Kind of like that. I think I'm gonna go red and maybe some silver. Okay, so I got my eye here, and this is where my overhead camera is going to come in handy when I can get my full setup for all you guys to do these live streaming sessions. So I got my glue. I'm going to just lay it on there with my eye. Get it oriented the way I want it. Press it into my material. And then any excess glue, I like to take and drag it over top of the eye and try to almost encase it without moving any of the material around it. And that'll just really help hold everything in there. So there we have it, our very first eye on the black Game Changer. Get my next eye ready, lay that down. Get my glue. I'm just putting a good drop on the back of this eye. And if you guys are just starting to follow this particular video, there is part 1 and part 2. This is part 3, finishing work on the Game Changers. And once we get a little group of us together to do some fly tying live, or if you guys want to follow along live, I'm going to use the platform to randomly choose someone to give away one of the flies that we're tying. So I'm doing that just because. There's number one. Okay, it's a little dark in here. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna hang that up and I'm gonna move on to the next one. And I'm just gonna systematically go through and put eyes on all of these flies. I'm gonna try to, maybe I can angle this down here. So I'm taking my eye, flipping it over, getting my glue, putting the glue right over top of my tool in my eye so it sticks, and then flip it over and place it where I think I want that eye to be. That's a little too far forward for me. Move it back a little bit. And the nice thing about this liquid fusion glue is that it dries crystal clear. And I'm going to be putting resin in. Technically I'm going to use the same stuff. I'm going to put the glue all on the fibers around the eye of the hook, so it's not going to hurt anything to add a little extra if I need a little bit more for the eye. Just put a little drop on top of it and spread the glue over the eye until that glue touches the fibers all the way around it. Just like that. Alright, I'm going to do the other side. Get my eye flipped over. Let's lay that down for a second. Get my eye oriented the way I want it, spot I want it, touch it down, drag my tool out, coat it over top with any resin that's on my tool. And that looks like it's a little off. So we're gonna pick it back up. Messed that one up a little bit, didn't I? But that's the nice thing about this stuff, because I'm going to use it to coat the front of my fly all the way around anyways. It's not like if I was using super glue and now I'd have a super glue spot where I didn't mean to drop the eye. So it's not really a big deal that I set it down in the wrong spot accidentally. Put a little more on top since I moved it. And just spread that around. I'll go ahead and I'll show you what I would do after these eyes were dry. I'd come back and I would coat over top by putting a little bead on top of the eye there and putting a little bead on the bottom. And that's actually a little more than I would like, so I might drag some of that off. But I will drag it onto the material, just onto the outside tips, like this. And then I would drag it over the eye. And on the bottom, I like to push it a little bit more into the bottom just because it exposes that hook a little bit more. And that would be a finished game changer. And I could just do it that way, but like I said, I like the glue for the eyes to be dry, and then I coat over it as a second coat. But that's gonna dry completely clear. You ain't gonna see that crazy sheen and shine like that. We'll hang that one up and maybe it'll dry before we get done here and I can show you. I doubt it, but maybe. Moving on to the next fly. This time I'm gonna pick my spot, make sure I got it right where I want it. Got a little bit of rogue material there. Looks good. I think I like the red eyes with the black. Red and black always seem to go good together anyways. I think I'm just gonna make them all red. Thanks for joining, Mike. Look forward to doing some live tying with you. And the way I'm going to be doing these live tying sessions are I'm going to ahead of time list the date and time along with some materials that I'm going to be using. I'll have the fly picked out ahead of time so that way when you guys jump on, you'll have, some of you will have the materials ready to rock and roll, and you can sit at your vise and tie right along with me. And I think it would just be fun, almost as if we're sitting like in the back of a fly shop doing some tying together, just like the old days. I'm not going to put as much glue as I did on that last one. I really put a little too much. Just dragging it through. And if you get a piece of material sticking up, use your finger and just kind of try to push it down. Sometimes that helps. Okay, and that one's done. Hang that one up to dry. If you guys want to see another color of an eye, let me know. I'm just really liking the way the red's looking here. It's a little bit of a delicate process, but doing it with this stuff, it's always held really well for me, so I prefer to use it when I have it. And you can use your finger and drag it across there. I have a paper towel here for when I do use my finger, so I can wipe my finger off. It's just a little cleaner using the tool. Moving right along. 2 more to go. Let's see, maybe we'll do some smoky gray. It just doesn't stand out very well. I like the red because it stands out better. So I'm going to stick with that. I think eyes are important. I know some people don't even like putting eyes on their flies, but I think it creates another target. The fish see the eye, and I don't know, maybe it steers them towards striking the head. I mean, why would a fish, a real fish, have, like, for example, a redfish? They got that circle on the back of their tail, and I always heard that it was to deter predators from striking them in the head and to go for the tail. So clearly the eye must be a target. What do you guys think? If you have any comments on that, this eye is messed up. I'm going to put a new one on. If you guys have any comments on that or any thoughts, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Shoot me a text or DM if you don't want to make it public. But that's my thought. So I always made it a point to make sure I put nice eyes on all my flies that need eyes. Streamers. And that's why I want to start this live streaming, so we can open up discussions and stuff like that, get people thinking a little bit more. Okay. One left. That eye's a little further back than the other one. Move it up just a little bit. And I probably will still go back and recoat the fronts of these heads. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see some photos of these flies. We'll take a couple nice photos when we get done and they're all dried up. Get them in the light box and put a couple photos on the website for you guys on Instagram, and you can check them out there. Oh, this one's gonna give me troubles. This one's got a little bit skinnier of a head, but did a little bit too much trimming on it, I feel like. They don't have to be perfect, as long as they swim and catch fish. Now I do have the stinger hooks in the back of these flies, and some of you might think, well, that's a great idea, and some of you might think that's going to take away from the action. Yes, it's going to take a little bit away from the action of the swimming portion of the fly, I do believe. But I planned on adding that action back in with my rod tip. So I can make this fly swim with having that stinger in the back by putting a little more action in my rod, and instead of relying on the fly when I'm stripping it back to the boat or to the shore. And I know that works because on my scratcher pattern that I make a lot of, I put stingers in those, and they're all on articulated spines, the Game Changer platform, so they swim just fine. They are a little bit more work, but also I have a second hook, and that second hook has caught us more fish, especially when it's a territorial strike and that fish is being chased out of the area for territory and not being eaten. If the fish is going to come and eat the fly, 90% of the time they're going to grab the head. But if it's a territorial thing where they're just swiping the fly to get away from their feeding lane, then a lot of times they'll hit the back of the fly or the tail, and I've caught fish that way. And that's how we caught that tiger trout in Arkansas last month, and it was on the back hook only, and that fish in a territorial strike, because it was only a 17 or 18 inch fish. It wasn't a giant fish that was going to engulf the entire fly. He grabbed the back of the fly, whether to eat it or just for, like I said, territory. I believe territory, and that's why I like to put that hook in the back. So let me know what you guys think about that. I know it does take away from the erratic swimming action of the true Game Changer fly, but sometimes I think it's worth having one or two of those in your box with the stingers, and maybe one or two without, depending on how the fish are eating that day. At the end of this little part 3 here, I'll go ahead and I'll show you the light box that we use to take pictures of our flies. And I have a few Game Changers in there right now, the white ones that I tied up. I tied up 6 of those, but I just got 2 or 3 of them in the box over here. I'll show it to you. And that's gonna do it for putting the eyes on. I'm gonna wait until it's dried, and then I'll probably go back over everything just the exact same way I just did it. And that's how we apply our eyes to the Game Changer fly. So, hope you like that. Dropped one. Thanks for watching. Again, this is something I want to try to build community around with all my friends that like to tie flies and fly fish and talk about fly fishing. If you don't tie flies, you can still follow along and we can talk fly fishing while we're tying, because sometimes there's not a whole lot to say about tying the fly in certain portions, especially when it's a pattern that's repetitive. So jump on in. And what's up, Bruce? Haas. Tying up some Game Changers here, just getting finished up. I'm gonna throw these in a light box once they're dried, and yeah, let me go ahead and show you guys the light box we use to tie our flies here. It's gonna go dark for a second. So let's see. So here we go. This is where we'll take pictures of the flies. Let me set these black Game Changers down. I don't know if you guys can see that in there or not. So thanks for watching, and join us on the next one. We're gonna do another pattern here eventually. Got a few more colors in this Game Changer that I'm gonna tie up, and then we're gonna move on to the next fly. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, follow us on YouTube at Tight Lines Entertainment. It's at TLE Media for Instagram, and Tight Lines Entertainment on Facebook. So look forward to making some new friends and tying some flies together. Thanks a lot.